recently, less than 6 months back. Prior to this, like she mentioned, sorry, started off my career at BCG, then joined Food Panda, was part of the team that moved Food Panda into Ola during the acquisition, worked with Bhavish for a year, got out, started a B2B services company in growth and marketing domain, didn't work, shut down, started a D2C foods company that was in the kitchen herbs and spices space, along with making cooking easier at home, didn't work, shut down. Then moved into Glance. At Glance, I was CEO of Glance Collective. This is a celebrity and influencer commerce / house of brands / digital and physical play. Did that for a year and a half. Also helped with Glance and Roposo for their sort of online content strategy for a bit, and then joined Matrix. At Matrix, I look at consumer brands. I look at media social and also edtech. That's a bit about me.
Thanks for the intro. So over to you. So if you want to, get started.
Yeah.
Crowd is already busy. Yeah.
You can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. So to talk about B2C and AI, I've purposefully put B2C in front of AI. I think there's this fad going around that AI, everything has to be AI. So I just wanted to cut it back down to basics. And I actually feel it's time to actually look at B2C first and then AI. Also specifying the date is 20th July. I will be proven completely wrong in 7 days from now. So please keep that in mind. Things change too quickly for me to keep track of. And I will be more wrong than right is the only thing I can say. Quickly moving on, why I said B2C before AI, because AI is just so much wow, right? You look at it, you can't escape it. Somebody made a song based AI, basis Drake and Weekend. There's a new South Park episode completely made by AI, beautiful mid-journey, visuals, etc. So it's very hard to sort of be objective right now. I think we are in the romancing phase of AI where everything just sounds and looks so incredible that it's just great to be part of. But I think the point I want to drive is, if this is not a fad, and by that I mean it's internet and not NFT, then it'll add a lot more value over time, in which case it's actually better to step back to basics, and especially in B2C. I don't think we have another option, right? So very quickly, I want to outline what the session is not about. So I am not going to talk about the transformer or BARD and OpenAI and NVIDIA GPU chips or LangChain and semantic kernels. I'm not going to do the stuff that a lot of analysts do really well. Market maps, no clue. Too many companies getting funded, will get funded. It's a cluster of companies that this street will keep exploding. I am also not going to get into philosophy. So no Andreessen Harris, is AI good for us, bad for us? Let's assume it's great for us till things prove otherwise. Extraordinary claims do require extraordinary proof. So what is it about? I actually was discussing with a lot of associates, not just at Matrix, but also in general. And I feel like it'll benefit us to sort of step back and actually think in terms of frameworks. Frameworks don't stand alone. It's more like art, right? It's always inspired by what frameworks existed previously. However, I do feel that the best frameworks are the ones you create for yourself and your unique POV. So this is my point of view and the frameworks that I am trying to use to understand the madness that is around us. The only certainty is that nothing is certain, claimed by Pliny the Elder and then proved mathematically by Heisenberg, applies even more so here. So all of my predictions could turn wrong. I want to split this. Let's spend most of our time in B2C. And when I say B2C, I'm trying to refer to commerce and brands. And then towards the end, if we do have time, I do have some thoughts on media social as well. We could cover that if we do have time. Feel free to stop me at any point of time in case I'm talking rubbish. Happy to be corrected. Looking forward to the debate, in fact. Very quickly, So there are three frameworks that I'm playing with in my head. There's a brand channel framework. There's a channel tech framework. There's following the money, not a framework, more a philosophy, and offline as guide, right? I'll take you through each one of these. But first, let me show you a really ugly chart that I drew on my iPad. This is not to scale. This is not statistics. This is just field-based chart. So very quickly, maturity of channel. What is a channel? A channel could either be a communication or a distribution channel. On the y-axis, amalgamated sigma value across brands is the way I'm looking at it. It could be new brand creation or brand outcomes, whichever way you want to put it. Obviously, nothing's to scale. Badly drawn diagram is to reflect that part as well. Not too many numbers to sort of double tap on this, but intuitively feels right to me. What do I mean by this chart? So the argument I put forward on this framework is, like, as soon as a channel opens up, and this could be a communication channel or a distribution channel, part number A opens up. What is A? A are existing brands that realize the arbitrage and move fast. What does that mean? A new channel's opened up, radio came up, suddenly somebody selling soap in Gujarat thought it's a right way to put his brand out, got a lot of people heard about it. Those are A, right? You're opportunistic, you're an existing brand, you're using a new channel to sort of improve your visibility, awareness, CAC, whichever way you want to look at it. But then slowly what happens, in my view, is B, right? A lot of new brands come across that are built specifically around communication and modality of that channel. So what are these channels? I could be talking about radio, TV, modern trade is a channel, quick commerce is a channel. All of these are channels, right? Or Meta plus Shopify is a channel. All of these are channels on either communication or process modality. So new brands come in, and my argument here is they are built completely around the communication modality of the channel, not really the product modality. And I'll come to that in a bit. Brand number C is copycat brands. We are in that age right now. I feel for a lot of D2C brands, they're leveraging what was established or they're moving to adjacent categories. Some value here, but not as exciting as B, I'd say. And D are truly channel first in product and communication modality, and they can create good outcomes as well. I'm obviously not talking about E, which is decreasing channel relevance. Here is true material science or innovation that will create a brand. So this is all theoretical. Let me bring that down to what I mean. So A, B, C, and D, I'm leaving E out, and I'm putting channels on the x-axis, right? So we've got TV, modern trade, web D2C, which I'm classifying as Shopify plus Meta. There's Amazon marketplaces, food delivery, and quick commerce, just to give us an indication on what I'm trying to talk about. So if you remember, when an A is typically, like I said, opportunistic. So I'll skip to B. So as soon as TV opened up, it created a channel and infra that allowed for you to reach the masses very quickly. And companies got built on that channel. So this is a Unilever, Mondelez, Pepsi, Coke, a lot of these companies. What did they figure? They figured that I am able to show a certain creative to as many people as possible. That's the widest possible channel. All I have to do is make sure that the Surf Excel pack looks as blue and looks exactly the same as my TV ad. And it has to be available next to your Kirana store. The minute I accomplish both these dynamics, things will start making sense from a ROAS perspective. They built those brands, right? And a lot of these brands come under this category. Some of them were built before as well, but I'm just creating an extreme view to provide juxtaposition, right? But if you move forward, when I said D are brands or outcomes that are dependent completely on the modality, and QVC is a space here. So your naphtol equivalent, it was bigger in the US than in India, but that leverages TV completely as a channel, as true as possible from a product and communication modality. Come on screen, try and sell something. This is your product, right? Let's use modern trade. At modern trade, a lot of brands came in, but Real, Tropicana are examples of brands. Ching's is another brand, I feel, where they came in, they realized that देखो modern trade में shelves हैं. As long as your surface area covering the shelf is maximized and your packaging is really colorful and beautiful, and you can grab attention, that's the way to build a brand. On modern trade, a lot of brands got built. Fast forward, then you'll get truly modern trade first brands. Epigami is a great example. They come in, they're talking exactly to the consumer. Cold storage is available only in modern trade, making use of all the functionality, etc., etc. Same thing, web B2C, Mamaearth as a B brand came in. They realized that static images work wonders. And Meta is a great channel. CACs are super low. There's an arbitrage. Come in, build out a channel. But if you look at true web D2C, Shopify plus Meta play, I actually like the Shein organic sort of play, right? Fast fashion, they realized that, there's not just a channel communication modality, but there's also a product modality where you can come in and change styles, and that can be the reason for you to keep upping your game, etc., etc. Amazon marketplaces is clear. Boat versus HRX and wrong, obviously different kinds of businesses. HRX built more marketplace first, Boat taking advantage of mass premium pricing at a time when Amazon opened up. Food delivery, etc., etc. Quick commerce, I'm seeing the same for impulsive snacks and indulgences, which is in B. I actually don't know what D is, which is what is a truly quick commerce first product modality play. Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. Not able to see it yet. Just to come back again, that's what I mean by this slide. The reason I actually bring this point across is I feel there's a lot of stuff that we're going to, if you buy this argument, a lot of stuff will also change because of AI from a channel perspective, from a tech perspective. So it's useful to keep some framework in mind. And this is one of the frameworks that I'm using. Potentially assertions are potentially all new channels follow this curve. I could be wrong. There's an interesting trend here, but with Shopify, Meta, maybe with the marketplaces, digital ads, that the tech part and the infrastructure part is sort of merging together. So TV communication was different, distribution was different. You could argue the same in some form for modern trade, where it's distribution heavy, but now it's sort of coming together. So the assertion is as tech and channel merge together more, it creates more interesting outcomes, faster outcomes. For brands, might take much faster. I mean, you can build a 200 crore brand in 3 years, right? Versus that's unheard of earlier. I'll take a pause. Any questions so far? If not, I'll move on. Fantastic. So then it's important to, in my view, the other framework that helps me at least is the tech cross-channel interplay. Let me throw more jargon at you first before I make things real. So my argument is there's this random huge tech / infra development, which leads to new channel creation. And this is especially for those who create some form of innovation in accessing or reaching the consumer. Those are the places where these tech developments typically create crazy channels, right? These channels get built, leads to some form of business model innovation. This then leads to a secondary order of support tech and infra. And then that support tech and infra then leads to another potential new channel category creation. So let me, to cement my argument, internet, website listings is clear. E-com came across, business model innovation, payment, logistics had to come across to support it in some form. The minute that came across, suddenly ShipRocket, etc., all of that started getting accessible and then started supporting the Shopify D2C brands, right? So payments, logistics being the support tech infra in this case. I would argue the same for food delivery, internet web listings, food delivery, logistics, which allowed for quick commerce in some form, at least for India. It's different in the US, but at least in India, it allowed for us to leverage that kind of logistics. Same thing for travel, tourism, Expedia booking to payment, vendor management. Airbnb is sort of a jump in my head as well, but I put it here. It basically, if payment, vendor management, and customer infra is ready, they were able to unlock a different kind of supply. It is a jump in my head, but I'm classifying it here for simplicity. What does that mean for AI? If you buy into the argument that innovation and accessing / reaching consumers is going to be key to build a channel, then I'd actually argue for search and conversational commerce. So this would be, how can you talk and get it done? So very interesting applications. You put a mid layer, could be Google, Facebook, whatever, create commerce, make that happen. But it also opens up, in my view, vertical specific channels. So what does that mean? Your trip abroad is actually too many processes. There's Expedia, and then you'll check the flight and make my trip, and then there's visa and all of that, and there's travel within Metro card lena hai, cab lena hai, etc. That's because those modalities haven't come together. I believe a vertical specific AI channel could come and say, this is your assistant for everything around channel. All of these come out. Obviously, if you buy into the argument of the left, then potentially you should see something on the right. The other more interesting space is this just the tech on top of it needs one more layer of infra, and that would be XR, headsets, AR, VR, etc., which AI could very cleanly support. Maybe we haven't seen that yet, but maybe that ushers in a completely different form of commerce, right? To repeat my previous point, the support and tech infra, I feel at least for this piece will actually have to follow the money. So here you can't escape and put a random framework. You will actually follow the money. Jerry Maguire face for any movie fans. Show me the money. What keeps a B2C founder awake at night? So the argument here is the problem that is taking away the most of your money gets solved first, or creates the largest outcome at least when solved. In order of prioritization for a D2C brand owner, that's CAC, conversion rates. Then it's repeat and retention around mining. Third is RTOs, returns, support costs, contact center costs. And the fourth is innovation. And the fourth is actually innovation. So if some AI-enabled D2C enabler were to come to me and say, we help product innovation or customer search, I'd actually say, that's not following the money. That's at least how I'd look at it, right? Some nuances. A D2C founder would look at it this way. Maybe a marketplace, especially if matured, would put 2 above 1. For them, mining of the customer database is actually more important than some of their CACs. And I'd argue that that's the asset they're sort of flywheeling on. What I like about this is AI allows for personalization at scale, never possible before, and equal to 1 truly equal to 1 for a change, right? Versus we used to say that for newspaper pamphlets as well. And they say, hyperlocal is n equals whatever, but and truly equal to 1. So now if that's true, I'd like to look at all these 4 in this order, but apply the lens of personalization of scale. And I know a lot of people stop here, but I'd actually urge all of you guys to try and create a framework around the most important part, which is the consumer. So I feel we sort of have lost touch with it. So I'm trying to bring this back in vogue. But offline is true human nature, right? And mimicking the real world allows for you to solve a lot of the problems that you see in Show Me the Money, right? So how can offline be the framework that helps you evaluate? And I've chosen these pictures for a reason. Medical store or a kirana store, jewelry store, different kinds of offline experiences. But, shopkeepers are sales personified. So I've had the pleasure of managing 45 kirana stores myself in my D2C foods brand. And it wasn't a pleasant experience, but it taught me a lot. Shopkeepers are truly sales personified. When I spent time with them, I realized that when a customer walks in, they've already profiled the customer just by the fact of what they're wearing, what language they ask in, how well groomed they are, age, etc. Right? So they actually do a fantastic job of profiling the customer, and will show you exactly the stuff that you need to see. Anybody who's been to Sarojini Market in Delhi will know what I'm talking about, right? They'll tailor the price and offering exactly according to you. So if you were to go by this logic, you'll ask very simple questions, right? Which could have profound implications on AI. Should the landing pages look the same to everyone? I don't think it should look the same to everyone. I don't think I should be sold to the same way as my wife should be sold to, even though we're the same household. Even if it's not a gender-specific product, even if it's, let's say it's headphones, right? I'd prefer a death metal background, and she'd like this more whatever trip hop sort of background. So there are different ways to even tailor your PDP page, right? Language, personality, offers, or time spent on the customer. All of this changes, and the shopkeeper is able to change this real time. He'll very quickly lose interest if he feels this customer is not going to buy something. He'll find the customer who actually is, right? The best example is, I urge you to shop at the Dubai duty free. First, they'll check out how you're dressed to see whether you can afford the watch or not. And then they'll check if you ask the right question on the watch. It can't be ki mere ko show me whatever type of watches, right? It has to be show me this model. If you say show me this model, they'll suddenly come and say there'll be 3 people coming assisting you. Oh, you want this one? What do you feel about this, etc. So how much time should be spent? Should the same products be shown in the same order? Not really. It's okay. I would consider myself, so I am very, very D2C friendly in all the brands I wear, all the brands I use. But I have noticed recently, and I'm fairly cheap in the stuff that I wear, but I've noticed recently that even I go to Myntra and then I sort price high to low. And then I just say, don't show me the top, whatever, don't show me anything about 3-4K. But then after that, show me high to low, right? It's just, otherwise I just get lost in 250 rupee Roadster t-shirt, which thankfully I've graduated from. Not very far away, but at least a little bit, right? So I think the order in which you should show products is also different. The other 5th question, I purposefully put it here. It's a bit of a misnomer, but the reason I put it here is the store location independent of the ASP? And it is not. Where a Go Color store will launch versus a Bliss Club versus a Zudio versus a Titan showroom should be different. Their formats are different. The implication here for technology is not actually where you host your site. The implication is where do you reach the customer? So if somebody comes in from Meta, what should you show versus somebody comes from Google, what should you show? Somebody's from email marketing, what should you show? So your store location does matter. The one store location matter, actually, the next point is, the next part of the framework is linked. So I look at these points together. Where is discovery easier? Now, we've deluded ourselves into thinking our PDP pages are fantastic and UX and UI and Amazon. So, I mean, everybody loves to pitch Amazon's UX UI is ugly, but it's so user-friendly. But if you actually look at offline, this one single picture on the left, and you kind of know where you want to go to, right? You kind of know where your products are. Your eyes are able to take in whatever 200 pieces at a second, whereas here it's 8, 10, whatever, 40 that you scroll through in 30-40 seconds. So discovery is not actually easier on online, and there are real things that should be solved from the consumer lens. Why is this important? I believe if you don't do this page and this page together and put it together with AI and personalization, you will not see meaningful increase in your conversion rates or decrease in your CAC. So there are several stories that might allow you to move from a, let's say if you're a decent website, 1.4%, averages website 1.4% conversion to maybe like a 1.7, 1.8% conversion. But if you want to double that, then you're actually personalization, your engine's working at scale, and you've leveraged some form of, and I hope it is AI, but some form of that tech to really tailor your experience for the user. This could be conversational commerce, assistant on the side, could be something that's linked to your Instagram account and has seen what's happened, as shopping assistant, you name it, right? I don't know what kind of solutions will come in, but the stronger somebody is able to articulate offline behavior, the more impressed I am with what they're thinking. Other offline categories that haven't been hit online fully yet. The tailor, does tailoring itself, does your customizing what you're buying to who you are, can that be made better? Visual image processing, can you take a photo and say, this is what I have, compare it with the other photos that you have and come out with, slim fit. This is actually what slim fit looks like on you versus something else, right? So can some of those problems be solved? The categories on the right are super interesting. Those are categories that actually haven't seen a lot of revolution, at least currently, by the marketplace e-commerce standards, right? How you buy a car or buy a house or home decor, furniture, how you buy all those stuff. You still want to get a touch and feel of the product. It's still very offline heavy. There's a lot of research involved. Some of that just couldn't be done in the UX UI in a non-AI world. There was just too much context for anything to get subsumed into a chotusa screen in your hand, but maybe it'll be possible now, right? Last point of this is customer profiling. I hit upon this a little bit, but it's really interesting, the stuff that so the original buy now, pay later, and the original quick commerce is your kirana right next to your home. Okay, he'd say, "Ha, theek hai, give it to me tomorrow," right? He's got complete trust on you. If you call him, he'll come and deliver it at home, etc. So there are real behaviors there, but because we don't have sufficient customer profiling data so far, we actually haven't been able to make this personalized enough, don't have enough customer cohort information to currently make decisions, but that will change as we use more AI, ML. Real-time pricing, we discussed, landing pages should change. And the last part on no RTO risk. So the newspaper guy just delivers a newspaper, doesn't expect money immediately. He'll assume in a month, he'll be able to knock on the door and somebody will pay him. That's because he knows where you live, and not in a threatening manner, but he literally does know where you live. And that's the true risk we haven't been able to appreciate in RTO so far. We actually don't know our customers. So a lot of stuff gets not returned. It doesn't even get accepted. We're stuck. The customer knows that we don't know who he is, just creates a bad agent principal problem. Can't be solved with current tech. Maybe somebody will come in and hopefully solve this at scale. Hopefully AI will play a role there. Those are the 4 frameworks that I sort of work with. Just to recap, there's a brand channel framework, channel tech framework, following the money, and offline as guide. The only reason I chose to talk about frameworks today and not examples is I feel like a lot of us have ignore the consumer completely. So hopefully some of these you will put the consumer lens back on and not just following gross margins and CM3 and profitability and what is your average return ratio or rating and stuff like that, right? So just helps to put things in that perspective. I'll actually take a pause now to see if there's any questions, because the rest of the pages are on media and social. Yes. Any questions?
I do have a couple of questions, but probably we could, cover media and social first, and then we can pick it up at the end.
Sure. Not as advanced in how I'm thinking of frameworks on this piece, but I think there's a couple of things that are still useful. So let me finish the obvious one first. Again, think offline first. I think there's a lot of inspiration lying there that haven't been pulled in. The first one is the AI girlfriend. The second one is a carnival, the kind of delight it can give you. The third is N=1, true personalization. So the maximum attention you have is when you are talking to your child, your spouse, your best friend over coffee. That's as much attention as human beings can give, right? It's not multitasking, it's not scrolling across multiple things, hopefully. So if you're really engrossed in a great conversation over coffee, that actually is N=1. And I feel if you take Bandersnatch, if you guys have watched that, Netflix to its logical extreme, then it's personalization at scale. It'll generate content on the fly basis what you want to see and the mood that you're in, which means bad news for us who want to stay away from screens, but great news for content junkies like me, who just can spend hours on binge watching, right? There's another element of offline chilling with your friends, having a beer, coffee, whatever, right? There are true interactions that are missed right now. I feel media social completely ignores this right now by creating me and screen relationship, but there should be other relationships. A lot of this could be tailored together, requires real-time content generation and personalization to the group. Again, not possible earlier, might be possible now to co-create stuff together, right? Imagine watching a series that you create on the fly. The offline experience here that I like is if you guys have played Dungeons and Dragons, so there is that experience of co-creating an answer together. Now you could actually see it on screen. Maybe there's something here to be picked up, right? The thrill of watching a rocket launch, the thrill of watching a game together. However, personalizing that as well. What I mean by that is, if I like, let's say, if I was supporting Djokovic in that finals match at Wimbledon, I technically could have seen a completely different match from Alcaraz, and I should be able to choose those vantage points, choose those whatever video shots to look at, choose to see the game that I want to see the game. And I want to look at the game, then be forced to look at it through one camera lens. And a lot of this, again, for sports media is true. It could also be for all the content that's made previously. By that, I mean, all the cricket matches played so far, I should be able to go back and say, show me all off drives by Sachin in Australia, right? And I should be able to see a highlights reel just that. Again, stuff that you could never parse through and tag and put out, but now with AI, possible, right? But apart from the very obvious stuff on offline, couple of frameworks that I'm trying to delve more into. So modality transfers is simply, I'm sure you're aware, text to audio, text to video, text to images, image to video, etc., etc. As this matures, if you're like, if I were simply be able to put down, I want to hear a Pearl Jam song sung by Chris Cornell, right? I at least should be able to generate something that's text converted to audio. I believe it does allow for much more user attention. So modality transfer is very important. We've actually funded 2 companies in this space. Very exciting stuff. The other framework is there's this quality quantity isoquant that runs, and AI allows you to push that up. So you were earlier at isoquant 1, now you can move to an isoquant 2. That actually allows for content to be generated at a higher quality and a higher quantity at scale, right? So that's great news for influencers and content creators. Additional lens in media social. Please don't bucket media social together. They are different stakeholders, and OTT is different from a media company, is different from creator company, is different from AstroTalk, is different from whatever creator, right? So if you go deep into each one of those workflows, you'll actually find, so the first one I've outlined is a creator workflow, create new content, edit content, but now AI allows you to adapt that for multiple platforms immediately. So push it to Reels, whatever, even a blog to video, whatever. Take out all my videos and take short videos and put it out. If football is trending, take out all the videos that have talked about football and just take those clips and put a short video out. All those things now possible. You can actually manage audiences much better. You have a lot more information and you can actually change what they see almost in real time, at least get enough feedback on what they like, what they don't. All this should potentially allow you to manage monetization in a better way. I actually like solutions which take care of the entire pie rather than solving for one box. I'd urge for founders in this domain to say, go super deep in workflow, solve as many problems as possible so that this is the only tool I open to edit my video, publish my video, manage audiences, manage monetization, whatever, right? The one below is just a media-based table, but nothing specific there except to say, if you look at sports versus movie versus news, you'll actually find that the applications are different for n=1. So I'd push for stakeholder specific and category specific nuances in media and social. And that's it.
Got it. Thanks for that, CV. Just a quick question from my end before Shruti goes to her list of questions that she got from the audience. Where do you think value will be captured here? So what we're sort of seeing this time around, all the major incumbents they've been so fast to the market with embedding AI into their workflows, right? At sort of a pace that we haven't seen before. For example, Photoshop added that Firefly, and then Canva added their Magic AI. And then you've seen so many of these consumer-facing applications that are that have suddenly provided this platform where they're already able to compete with, or probably already do better than some of these upstarts, right? So how are we supposed to sort of think about where the value will be captured here? Who's going to do well, and how can people actually differentiate if they're starting off today?
Yeah, I think it's a time problem, right? So let me explain. This happened earlier as well, even in your IBM Xerox days. Xerox was the one who actually invented the graphical user interface till Apple put it on their Mac, right? So incumbents will always kind of make great inroads as soon as the technology is opened up. It comes down to your belief. If you believe AI is here to stay and it's not a fad, then I actually feel that there is enough time for you to find the right structure that creates value. So incumbents may incrementally add to their workflow, and they should try and innovate. But if this isn't NFT and this is like a 10-15 year game, we'll actually see that the true understanding of what an AI platform isn't actually just doing what you're doing better. Like Facebook has been putting AI on their sorting algorithm for 8 years now. So incrementality will exist, and I feel incumbents will go there. Yes, we are in a slightly different situation where the incumbents themselves aren't old FMCG players, right? They are also very good at tech. But I still believe for you to be AI first, I truly believe it's not an Amazon UX UI that will create AI commerce. So, and they can't change their entire PDP page layout just for testing out with AI and stuff like that, right? So if it's a large time problem, I believe there's enough time. It'll probably take 2 to 3 years for us to even get a hold on what all is possible. And then a true AI first answer to commerce and brands, I don't think will be an incremental delta over what we have now. It'll look very different, is how I look at it.
Got it. Just a sort of quick follow-up to that, CB. So a lot of folks have already started critiquing models that have been built on top of these foundational models, right? They're saying wrappers are not defensible. What's the moat here? So when you're looking at a company, is there any good way to sort of think about what's actually defensible here? Because I mean, I'm sure like all of us are just seeing so many Gen AI companies today, and a lot of those will be B2C focused itself, right? And of course, a lot of them will actually be based off some of these foundational models. So then, how would you sort of go about evaluating, where there's actual depth?
Yeah. So slightly tangential answer here, but bear with me. I actually feel the answer isn't on the wrapper as much as it is on the workflow. So if you look at this for the creator, so yes, tech can change very quickly, right? But we've been using the Microsoft Office suite for donkey's years, right? Because consumers don't change that fast. Me and you are not going to adopt stuff, or businesses are not going to change their working system too quickly, right? So if you get a creator and you put him through a platform and he's using just that platform for editing, subtitling, converting to multiple languages and publishing, for him, a small delta increment is not sufficient to change his tool. You'll actually have to create a significant 10x sort of improvement. And I would argue even higher than 10x for him to change the way he works, right? So I don't like wrapper companies, but I do like companies that are at least, if still wrapper, at least still creating enough workflow depth to finally say the customer is used to using me. And I am the only platform that a D2C brand is launching their Facebook ads on. If you win that battle, tech might change, but the customers change much slower, or the whatever users change much slower, right? So if I see a foundational model and wrapper and a very thin wrapper and no workflow, that's a red flag. There's nothing there, right? Because there's no GTM, there is no moat on consumer. But if there's any consumer moat with significant workflow depth that allows you to be the only tool you use, I feel there is some defensibility.
Got it. Sorry, last question from my end, Shruti. So, so we've already seen instances of like AI produced music, right? That, for example, like sounds remarkably similar to the original artists. And you sort of wrote about it in your blog post as well, right? But so more broadly, right, across modalities, whether it's text or audio or video, how have you seen the intellectual property discussions evolving? Who owns this? Who deserves to get the value that's sort of generated from the content that you're able to put out because of this? And how do you sort of apply that to your evaluation process?
No, that's a great question, dude. Honestly, I couldn't find too many parallels. So a lot of the ways that I'm thinking, at least frameworks, is kind of to look at the past and see what you can get comfort on and what you can't. I do have comfort on, is it going to kill artists creating music? Not really. That's what people said would happen with Spotify or whatever, right? So that won't happen. Creativity will still come out and people will still use AI in the right way. On the fact that the data that is being mined, I feel in those portals, forces over the government will decide how it goes. The same thing with the VHS and whatever standards, right? Somebody will decide a standard, is data mineable or not. And basis that the companies, real money gaming mein jo hua, for example, right? You can predict some things, you just can't predict some other things. So this question I actually feel will be, it will be less under the control of the VC or the founder and more under the control of the government or the deciding body. And that could go either way. Japan's okay with it. Europe's not okay with it. Not easy to take a guess here, to be honest.
Maybe just extending on that point a little bit. So with respect to how you accessing proprietary data for your data training, for your model training, how do you access, how did you sort of, when you're evaluating a startup, how do you assess this and how important is this? How do you treat their approach to collecting data? And how much weightage would you give to this in your assessment of the investment?
Okay, there are two scenarios here. Scenario number one is you actually do have access to proprietary data, and then you're able to build on top of it, right? In which case you're starting off in a great place. I don't know if those companies
That's the best case scenario, probably.
funding, might not be looking for early stage funding, might not be useful for this group. The second scenario is, yes, you're using publicly available data sets, but I'd really be interested to find out how much virality is there in terms of usage and how quickly. So one, is there virality on usage? And second, do they have a crazy GTM edge? If they have both, then at least that GTM edge will allow for enough users to come in, and hopefully in a year you will have created enough data for you to now behave much better than somebody will now come and start across, right? So the proxy for that is, does your GTM have some crazy spike in it? And second, are you collecting relevant data way more frequently? Is the user giving you relevant data way more frequently than others? If those two exist, then you should take that punt to say, maybe these guys in a year will behave much better than a rapper.
But sometimes the early data may not really, on a small base, may not really paint the right picture, right? So how do you see that, especially if I'm looking at maybe just a few months of.
Kuch nahi hoga. So let me give a real case example. And I'm not saying build this company, it might be a shitty company, but let's assume there's a company being built as travel assistant, right? Helps you everything from visa to booking to when you're in Milan, it'll tell you what Uber to book or which museum closes at what time. Now, when they start off, they have nothing. They just have Google Maps, they have Expedia, all of that shit. Now I'd actually look at, do they have some crazy edge? Do they have a partnership? Can they just get on Expedia and be that whatever robot on the side? Can they crack a crazy B2B partnership, right? Those guys have enough traffic and enough channels. So that's a crazy GTM edge. In a year, I'd assume he'd be much better than somebody who doesn't have their Expedia data set or whatever, any information in a year, right? Because the data set is large. That's one way to look at it. The second way to look at it is, in media social, actually, a lot of these companies, if you look at their websites in the US, they start off by saying, we are building a video editing tool for creators, right? Now, everybody in the world knows that you can't make money off creators. That's very clearly proven, right? The creators are the last people who are going to give you extra premiumization dollars. But that allows for you to get access to a lot more content and a lot more user interface that will help you to then sell an enterprise product. So that's the reason why they're starting there as well, to create as way more data than somebody who's just starting what is an enterprise product? Enterprise product is, I'm going to sell to ESPN to help them create short videos on all of their content, right? Now, you could train that yourself, or you could just say, I have this crazy creator hack that I have tied up with collective artists to get all of their creators to use my platform for free. And then in a year, hopefully you'll be in a better place. These are just bad examples, but things that will hopefully help you create some advantage in a year or so.
Got it, thanks. I realize we're running short on time. So if anybody from the audience has any questions. Cool. I guess we could wrap up then. CV, thank you so much for your time. Love the frameworks, and I'm sure the feedback's already started ticking. I have a couple of folks pinging me. So thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Okay, guys.
thank you much, CV.
Bye, guys. Nice meeting you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.